Have you ever wondered what you're made of? No, not just flesh and bone, but what are the absolute tiniest building blocks of you, me, and every living thing on Earth? To answer that, we need to travel back in time, to a world that had no idea it was teeming with microscopic life. This is the incredible story of how we discovered the cell. Our journey begins in the 17th century, a time of immense scientific curiosity. Enter Robert Hooke, a brilliant English scientist and a true jack of all trades. In 1665, Hooke published a groundbreaking book called Micrographia, which translates to small drawings. He had built his own compound microscope, a relatively new invention, and he was using it to look at everything he could get his hands on. One day, he placed a thin slice of cork under his lens. What he saw would change biology forever. He observed a honeycomb-like structure, a mass of tiny, empty boxes. These little rooms reminded him of the small, living quarters of monks, which were called cells. And so, he named them cells. It's important to remember, though, that Hooke was looking at dead plant tissue. He saw the rigid cell walls, but he had no idea what was happening inside a living cell. He was the first to coin the term, but he was only looking at the empty shell. Just a few years later, across the English Channel in the Netherlands, another pioneer was making his own incredible discoveries. His name was Antonie van Leeuwenhoek, a cloth merchant with a very unusual hobby, grinding lenses. Leeuwenhoek wasn't a formally trained scientist, but his passion and skill were unmatched. He created powerful single-lens microscopes, far superior to Hooke's, that could magnify objects up to 270 times. With these powerful tools, Leeuwenhoek opened up a whole new universe. He looked at a drop of pond water and was astonished to see tiny creatures swimming around, which he called animalcules, or little animals. He examined plaque from his own teeth and found bustling communities of bacteria. He was the first human to ever witness living, single-celled organisms. He saw bacteria, protozoa, and even red blood cells, describing their shapes and movements with remarkable detail. Leeuwenhoek revealed that life existed on a scale previously unimaginable, but he didn't connect his animalcules to Hooke's cells. The dots hadn't been connected just yet. For the next century and a half, microscopy improved, but our understanding of cells didn't advance much. Scientists saw cells in various plants and animals, but they were mostly seen as disconnected oddities. The big picture was still missing. That all changed in the 1830s, thanks to two German scientists, Matthias Schleiden and Theodor Schwann. Matthias Schleiden was a botanist obsessed with plants. In 1838, after studying countless plant specimens under the microscope, he came to a bold conclusion: all plants are made of cells. He proposed that the cell was the fundamental unit of all plant life. This was a huge step forward. The very next year, in 1839, his friend Theodor Schwann, a physiologist who studied animals, took it a step further. After hearing about Schleiden's work with plants, Schwann had a light bulb moment. He had been observing animal tissues and noticed similar structures. He put two and two together and proposed a revolutionary idea. Not just plants, but all living things, including animals, are composed of cells. Together, Schleiden and Schwann laid down the first two principles of what we now call the cell theory. 1. All living organisms are composed of one or more cells. And 2. The cell is the most basic unit of life. This was a paradigm shift. It unified botany and zoology, revealing a shared principle of life for the entire known living world. From a giant redwood tree to a tiny flea, everything was built from the same fundamental blueprint, the cell. But there was still a crucial question unanswered. Where do new cells come from? Schleiden and Schwann mistakenly believed that cells could spontaneously arise from non-living matter, a process they called free cell formation, like crystals forming. It took another brilliant scientist to correct this final piece of the puzzle. His name was Rudolf Virchow, a German doctor and pathologist. In 1855, Virchow, who was studying how diseases affect the body at a cellular level, published a powerful and concise statement: omnis cellula e cellula. This is Latin for all cells arise from pre-existing cells. He argued that cells don't just pop into existence. They reproduce through division. A new cell can only come from another cell that already exists. Think of it like a family tree. Every cell has a parent cell. Virchow's contribution was the third and final pillar of the modern cell theory. So let's recap the three core tenets. First, All living things are made of cells. Second, the cell is the basic unit of structure and function in living things. And third, all cells come from pre-existing cells. These three simple statements form the very foundation of modern biology. The discovery of the cell didn't stop there, of course. The development of more powerful electron microscopes in the 20th century allowed us to peer even deeper inside the cell. We discovered the intricate machinery within, the nucleus that holds our DNA, the mitochondria that power the cell, and the ribosomes that build proteins. We learned how cells communicate, how they differentiate to form tissues and organs, and how errors in cellular processes can lead to diseases like cancer. Today, cell biology is a vast and dynamic field. We're manipulating cells to create new therapies, studying stem cells to regenerate damaged tissues, and even engineering microorganisms to produce biofuels. It's all thanks to that initial spark of curiosity from pioneers like Hooke and Leeuwenhoek, and the brilliant insights of Schleiden, Schwann, and Virchow. So the next time you look in the mirror, remember that you are a bustling metropolis of around 37 trillion individual cells, each one a tiny, living marvel, all working together in perfect harmony. The story of the cell is the story of life itself, a microscopic epic that started with a simple look at a piece of cork. Thanks for joining me on this journey through scientific history. If you found this fascinating, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next exploration into the wonders of science. See you next time.